Welcome to the Mastermind for Business podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the concept of lifestyle and empire. If you want to have both, then stay tuned. That's what's coming up next.
If you want more time, money, freedom, and have a business that's not reliant on you, then you're in the right place. Each week, Mark Creedon, along with some of the very best business minds in the world, will take you through simple, practical steps you can take to create the business you always wanted. From his own practical experience, Mark will show you how to work less, make more, and get the business you always wanted, the one that you deserve. Now here's your host, one of Australia's most sought-after business coaches, Mark Creedon.
Hi, I'm Mark Creedon. Welcome to the latest edition of the Mastermind for Business podcast. This podcast is designed for you, the business owner. If you feel like you're a bit trapped in your business, you've got this great business, you started it for all the right reasons, but now you just feel like it's driving you rather than you driving it. Maybe it feels a little bit like you've got a job rather than a business. That's exactly what we talk about every week in this podcast. And today we're going to talk a little bit about how you can find this balance between building a lifestyle and building an empire, because I know when that balance is out of whack, life becomes really difficult and you can become really disillusioned. As always, joining me in the chair is Nick. Nick, good morning.
Good morning.
Crowd's pleased to have you back with us.
Can't blame them.
Exactly. Nick, I want to talk about this concept of building a lifestyle empire, right? And, I know, for example, when I'm out of whack on my balance, so when I'm spending too much time building the empire and not enough time in my lifestyle, or similarly, if I'm spending too much time in my lifestyle and enough time building my empire, either way, it feels odd either way.
Yeah, and you feel guilty almost.
Yeah.
On either end of the scale, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've had, things that always make me think about it. And it was actually something, Nick, that you said. And it was when your daughter Eloise, who's now 4, she might have been about 2, I think. And you came to me, for those who are new listening to the podcast, Nick is a co-host, also our video guy. So he looks after all of the videos across our Mastermind program and the Metropole Group of Companies. He's also my favorite son, being my only one. But I remember you said to me, Nick, probably 2 years ago, you went, "Oh, Dad, I'd rather you were here longer to spend more time with Eloise than made a ton more money."
Yeah.
And that was probably a good reminder for me again to get this balance right. And guys, I'm the first to admit I get the balance wrong. I get it out of whack. I just get too caught up, and suddenly I find I'm working all the time, and I love what I do. And then I realised, like, for example, I haven't seen the kids, haven't seen the grandkids for a few weeks.
Doesn't take long.
No.
And all of a sudden, you missed this chunk. And I do it as well, whether it be, not enough time in my business or maybe even a certain section of my business or a certain part of my business that I let, I guess, slide for a tiny amount of time. And you think that it's a tiny amount of time.
Yeah.
But time goes so fast, and then all of a sudden it catches up to you and you go, "Oh crap, I haven't looked at that for 3 weeks, or I haven't spent that time that I said I would for 3 weeks on." And it can be even for yourself, and I think one of the most important things and one of the hardest things, but it is the main key to all of this, is consistency.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think how you get consistency is through planning.
100%. It's the hardest thing to do, because things happen.
Yep.
Right? Like things come up.
Yep.
That you can't control.
Yep.
There's fires that you've got to put out.
Yep.
That's owning a business. That's being a dad. That's being, having a family. That all of these things, right?
Yeah.
Shit happens.
Yeah, it does. John Lennon's song, Beautiful Boy, about his son Sean. He says, "Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So we have plans. If you think about consistency, so you're good at going to the gym, right? That's something. But you also know that comes down to plan and consistency.
Yeah.
And if you fall off that consistency bandwagon,
So easy to then stay off it.
yeah, exactly. Caroline and I went to dinner last night, and the restaurant we went to dinner at was directly across the road from the gym we go to. And she turned around and she said to me, if I look at the gym from here, is that the same as going to it?
While you're eating?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, it's a damn good steak though.
Yeah.
So physical fitness, your business, your family.
Yeah. It might not even be physical fitness. It could be trying to eat better.
Right.
It could be trying to be more healthy eating.
Right.
You could have, and I think it's extremely hard to be disciplined across all areas, all aspects that you want to be disciplined in your life.
Yeah.
Like, extremely hard to
Yeah.
find consistency in everything.
Yeah, that's the big thing. I think it's hard to be disciplined. It's hard to be disciplined all the time.
Yeah, 100%. So discipline you can get.
Yep.
You can get on the diet. You can put plenty of hours into your business, spend more time with your family, whatever that you're trying to be disciplined about.
Yeah.
But as soon as you slack off, as soon as you lose that consistency,
Yeah.
you start making excuses for yourself. You start finding other things coming in, getting in the way of that consistency that you're trying to achieve. And it's much easier for you to then just slip off the thing entirely, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think the thing is, Sherlaws is a business coaching company out of the UK, created this great model called the emotional stages growth, talking about, how businesses grow. And often businesses get to a certain point, they've gone through all the frustration of starting up, they've gone through payback stage, they start to hit some hurdles. And at an emotional level, once they hit those hurdles, they start to feel disillusioned. And I go through this with clients in our mastermind program. They just want out. Oh, let's just sell the thing.
Yeah.
Or, you know what? Can we just go back to the days when it was just you and me? And I had this conversation with a couple of the guys in our mastermind program only 2 days ago, and I could pinpoint. You're probably thinking this. Oh, let's just go back to the stage when they've got 100 staff. Then let's just go back to the stage when it was just you and me and 3 other blokes.
Yeah.
Right. And the reason that you get to that point is because you've actually fallen off the wagon on a couple of things. One, you've fallen off the wagon on the consistency of your balance.
Yeah.
So you're either spending more time than you'd like to not doing the things you should be doing in your business, or you're spending more time than you'd like to doing the things that you have to do in your business and not getting the balance on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
And it's interesting. I've used the term balance a couple of times, but I don't really like it when we're talking about work-life, because I think work-life balance suggests that it's like a set of scales that
It tips.
are even. Yeah.
And it doesn't tip.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. If you can remain consistent in both areas,
Yep.
then it will never tip one end of the scale. Right? The whole idea is to keep it equal.
Yeah.
Right? So if it is a scale, then you're literally giving it the possibility of it going one way or the other.
Yeah.
You don't want it to. You want it to stay a nice level.
So what you want is harmony.
Correct.
Right. But I think the thing about that harmony is it can kind of be level, but it may be that you're spending this week more time in that and less time in that. Next week, more time in that, less time in this.
Yeah.
But it's in harmony. In other words, you're not stealing time from one thing for the other as such.
No.
There's an agreement on harmony in place. Nick, Caroline, and I, as you know, just came back from 2.5 weeks holiday, and have a philosophy that when you're on, you're on. When you're off, you're off. So I try very much when I'm on holidays not to work, but if I do, I have a dedicated time for it.
Yeah.
So I did spend some time on emails, but it was at a set time, and that was an agreement. We had an agreement at the very outset. Yes, I am going to address some things. Yes, I'm going to make some phone calls back to the team. Yes, but I'm going to do that at a set time. I'm not going to do it every day. Every couple of days, I might make a 15-minute phone call and spend half an hour on email. So I spend 45 minutes every couple of days across 2 weeks.
But knowing that you have that I guess allocated time to achieve a certain amount of things in, does it tend to make you more productive?
Yeah, it does. It does. Because what happens when I'm on those emails, for example, if I said I'm going to spend a half an hour on emails, I'm going to sort through all the rubbish really quickly.
Yeah.
And things that don't need to be addressed by me there and then, I'm going to shove off to someone and say, send it through to Sam or someone like that and say, hey, can you
Sort this out.
sort this out? Or can you diarise this for when I get back?
So you can sort it out another time.
Yep. Can you
So you prioritize the importance.
Exactly. And I'm only really dealing with the things that are super important.
Need to be dealt with.
Have to be dealt
Not
with.
things
by
that
me.
you're wasting time with. Because
Exactly.
when you're sitting there all day going through your emails, right, you can pick and choose.
Yeah.
You can go, oh, well, this one's a bit easier.
Yep.
Yes, this one's more important.
Low hanging fruit. I'll grab this stuff.
This one's a little bit easier. So I might just spend another half hour doing
Exactly.
this, right? I think one thing that I've learned through trying to find consistency is that it breeds productivity.
Yep.
You know, that consistency just breeds productivity, because we all know, we all feel it, even if you're not being very consistent across all those aspects.
Yep.
We all feel the pinch. We all feel that there isn't enough time in a day.
Yeah, that's right. And so I think the more that, you're correct, productivity, that's through consistency, and it all comes through planning,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So the reason I'm talking about planning is we've spoken before about the concept of preloading your calendar. What I want to talk about is the idea of mapping out your ideal week. If you're going to build a lifestyle and an empire, and you're going to have both, I think an integral component of that is to create consistency around what you work on. So consistency around working on your business, with working with your team. In some cases, there's an element of working in your business, but there also has to be consistency around that time for you, that time to
Working on yourself.
recharge. Yeah, working yourself. Eating well, sleeping well, going to the gym. I have a morning routine. When that morning routine slips off, I'm just horrible.
Yeah.
I'm horrible to be around. I don't feel good. I don't feel my head's not right.
Yeah.
If I'm consistently journaling every morning, I have a clear head, I've got clear thinking. As soon as I fall off that consistency, I become, really not
yourself.
not myself, not productive, not that pleasant to be around.
But what I've started doing, and look, this won't work for everyone, but what I've started doing is I write out all the tasks I have to do for the day.
Yep.
Right. And within those tasks, I include personal things.
Yep.
I also include things for myself that are going to bring me some joy.
Yeah.
So on my list, I go, okay, from this time to this time, I'm going to be doing this.
Yep.
From 10 till 11, I'm going to work on this. And look, does it? Are you within that time bracket every single time? No.
Yep.
But it helps me get an idea of how I'm going to spend my day to make sure that I'm achieving stuff for my business,
Yep.
stuff for my clients, stuff for me, stuff for my family.
Yeah. So it's a mud map, really.
Yeah, 100%.
That's some flexibility attached.
So I'll put all the tasks that I have to do for my business for the day, and then I'll put, I have to go for the gym in the afternoon, I have to pick up my daughter from kindy, and then, I'll put at night time, well, I'm going to play some PlayStation or whatever it is, and I write that down, and I cross everything off. So when I go at the end of the day, or I come to my desk the next day and I look at my notepad, I say, well, yesterday I crossed everything off.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I had the last thing left was the thing for me.
Yeah, nice.
Right? And I was able to achieve it because I crossed everything off the list.
Yeah, nice.
So that helps me stay consistent and reminds me to, reward myself
Yeah.
for being productive, for staying consistent.
Yeah, it's interesting. Look, as long as you remember to pick Eloise up.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, don't worry.
You should never, ever leave your child
Yes. No stress on that one.
on the side of the road.
Doesn't run in the family.
Right. Once. I did it once.
Yes.
So if you've just started listening to us, again, Nick is my son, but I did leave him outside of... It was high school, okay? It wasn't... All right?
I was in grade 1, everyone.
Yeah, it was high
I was
school.
straight out of preschool.
We were sitting at my desk going, oh, what's going on this afternoon? Oh, shit, forgot to pick up from school. Jump in the car. And you didn't have a mobile phone, so I couldn't ring you. I couldn't message you. I couldn't... Came and found you sitting outside the school half an hour after I should have picked you up. Or
I think I might have had a mobile, but I think it didn't have any credit.
I was
I think that was the problem. I think I was 1-800 reversing everyone.
couldn't even let you know what was going on.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
So I do a similar thing. I map out what I want from an ideal week.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at what is an ideal week for me. And so the first thing I do is I actually list out what an ideal week for me is.
Mm-hmm.
And then I load that into the calendar. And it's really interesting, Nick, because when I don't do this is when the balance or the harmony falls out of whack.
Yeah. Shit starts hitting the fan.
Shit starts
Things
hitting the
start
fan.
going wrong.
I get to Friday afternoon, I'm exhausted,
Yes.
I'm miserable,
Yeah.
I'm unhappy because I haven't got this balance. So I map out what is my ideal week.
Mm-hmm.
For me, an ideal week is I get to work in my genius at work.
Mm-hmm.
I get to do this stuff. I get to record a podcast. I get to look after my clients. I get some time. I get to develop some new ideas and work with the other directors in Metropole to build that team. I get to spend, if it's not actually physically spending time, I get to at least talk to the grandkids,
Yeah.
right? I at least speak to them on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I get to spend some valuable time, chatting with you. I get to spend some valuable time with Caroline, date night, whatever it might be.
As valuable as that could be.
Right. Well, that's the old line. You have date night, she has Tuesdays, I have Thursdays.
Yeah.
It's quite well. And then I get some time for me.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, that's playing music, and I make sure. And then there's the routine, like my morning routine. I do that every day.
Yeah.
And if I get that, so it's like a big wheel. I make this big list, like a big wheel of all these things, like a pie chart.
Sure.
I break the pie chart up, and these are all things that I want to achieve, and that is my ideal week. Now, that might seem like a lot, and you might look at that and go, "There's no way, Lou, you can
Get all that
done
done.
week."
Yeah.
But in fact, when you preload it into your calendar,
You can.
you can.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Because consistency breeds productivity.
Right.
As soon as you're more productive, knowing that you only have, the amount of time to do what you need to get done to be able to achieve those other things that you want to do for yourself,
Yeah.
it does make you be more productive. It does. You do surprise yourself in how much you actually can achieve in the time that you're given.
So you'll find that I ring you in the morning or the afternoon in the car.
Yeah.
On my way in, on my way out, I'll give you a buzz. If I can talk to Eloise, Connolly's too young yet. If I can talk to Eloise, that's great.
She's not screaming.
But that's
camera.
right, throwing attention at the time. But then, I set up time to be able to catch up with you and the kids and Dee on the weekend, and we go, right, well, Sunday afternoon, let's set some time here. Saturday morning, I'm going to go play music.
Otherwise, it won't happen.
Otherwise, it won't happen,
It
right?
won't happen.
So if you don't, and I've had some people say to me, you plan your life down to the nth degree, and then it just becomes boring, and you don't have any sort of moments to be.
Because you plan the fun.
Yeah,
you
that's
plan
right.
the spontaneous.
Yeah.
You plan that. I mean, as much as that sounds silly,
Yeah,
but
plan spontaneity.
otherwise, how else? I mean, if you want to achieve all these things,
Yeah.
right? You want to look after yourself. You want to look after your family. You want to look after your business. You want to grow in all these aspects.
Yeah.
How are you meant to achieve that if you don't plan it?
No, you can't.
can't.
Well, the other thing too is you can't achieve it if you don't identify it.
Yes.
So when I talk about building a lifestyle and building an empire, and I've got the job of looking after Mastermind, all of our clients, and CEOing the Metropole Group of companies. I don't want to do just that.
No.
I don't want to
It's
come
not going
along.
to be your whole identity.
No, I don't want to come along if we talk about your kids as well as my other grandkids. But I don't want when Eloise is 16 and you go, oh, by the way, this is your granddad.
Yeah.
You've never really seen him, but just thought I'd introduce you.
I don't know much about him, but
Yeah, here he is. But in order to achieve all of those balances, I actually have to identify what I want, what's important to me.
Yep.
I heard a great interview. I'm not gonna say who it was because he's fallen into terrible disfavor because things were discovered about his past. But
Oh gosh.
yeah, I know, right?
Oh gosh.
Okay, it was Rolf Harris. But anyway, I did hear an interview with Rolf Harris where he said a couple of his friends said, "Oh, when I retire, I'd love to paint,
Yeah.
or I'd love to draw, or I'd love to learn Italian." And he was going, "Well, why are you waiting? Why don't you do it now?"
Why waiting till you retire?
That's right.
Yeah.
And Nick, you look at your grandparents, right? My parents.
Yeah.
They used to say, "Oh, we're going to travel when we sell the business." They had their own business. My mum would say, "Oh, when your dad retires, and we sell the business, so when he gets to 65, he's going to sell the business, and we're going to travel." Well, he died at 64,
Yeah.
right? So he never even made 65.
Yeah.
They had the ability to do that traveling. They just chose not to.
Yeah.
And so I think it's one of those things now. It's really important to think about what's important. So, are you listening to this podcast now? I want you to think about this. What's important to you? Like, sure, this is a business podcast, right? But it is and it isn't. I mean, it's about scaling your business so that you get your freedom back.
And to be able to do that, you need to look after the other aspects of your life.
Exactly.
You can't grow the
After your health.
business. Yeah. Right. And you have to find that balance. You have to learn to plan for the other things in your life to be able to achieve and spend the time that you want within your business.
Yeah, 100%. So how you go about doing that, in my view, is probably a two-step process. One, identify what it is that is going to give you that that ideal outcome, right? So if we're talking about your lifestyle and your business, map them out, create a big pie chart. You know, these are all, just make a big list. At the end of the week, if I'm going to look back at the week and go, yeah, do you know what? I reckon I had a pretty good week, and it was a good balance. Things were in harmony between my lifestyle and my empire. What are the things that would have to happen, right? I want to make sure I've got time to grab a good coffee somewhere. I said to Caroline while we were away, one of my little bucket list things was to drink more champagne. We had a few glasses of champagne while we were traveling. Drink more champagne. I love drinking champagne.
Yeah.
Life's too short not to drink more champagne. So
Why not?
let's put that on my ideal week. I have a decent glass of champagne on a Friday afternoon. I want to sit down with you and have a good Tennessee whiskey, right?
Yeah.
So list all those things and then lock them in and preload them into your calendar. It becomes your ideal week. Because if you can get your ideal week mapped out and you can make it work, and you only have to make it work, I reckon, for probably a month. If you can make it work for a month, you can replicate it 12 times.
Yeah, it becomes second nature.
That's right.
But in saying that, full disclosure, neither you nor I are perfect. Neither you nor I make that work every single time.
Nope.
Right?
100%.
Consistency is extremely important, but as I said, it's also extremely hard to
Absolutely.
get. So it's something that you need to tweak.
Yep.
Something that you need to keep tweaking if you find that base level of consistency, I feel.
Yep.
Where you start to see some results. You start to see some benefits from it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Then you can tweak it as things change in your life or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And the only person that you're going to disappoint if you don't cross everything off your list at the end of the week is yourself.
Yes.
Right? But it's important to remember that even the best in the world, the most productive people in the world, sometimes still don't get that last task done.
No, they don't. And you know, I reckon the big thing about that is to forgive yourself.
100%.
I think it's twofold. I think it's one, to forgive yourself, and two, just to acknowledge it. Because
100%.
you're right.
It's the first step.
You're 100% right. Neither of us are perfect. I'm probably a bit closer to it than you. But yeah, but I mean, but neither of us.
You have more years to try.
Yeah, well, that's right. It's right. Trust me, I'm a long way off it. But neither of us are perfect. And I guess that gets back to what we said at the very outset, though. You've got a plan for it.
Yes.
And it's not always going to work. And when it doesn't, you've got to forgive yourself and then get back into it.
Yeah. I mean, look, you tried.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yes, you can sit there at the end of the day and say, well, you know what? I put the plan in place. I did my best to make it happen. Yep. Today or this week, it didn't go exactly how I planned it.
Yep.
But next week it will. And it's the same thing as, if you're dieting, people get really worked up, oh, God, I had that little dessert last night after dinner at the restaurant and I've completely busted my diet out. And it's just not true.
Yeah.
One piece of chocolate cake is not going to ruin your diet, right? Because
Thank God for that.
because consistency is what helps you lose weight, is what helps you with anything, right? In that sort of stuff when you're trying to be disciplined in one area. So shake it off.
Yep.
Tomorrow's a new day. Next week's a new week.
Forgive yourself.
Start again.
Move on.
Move on.
Yeah.
Because if you sit there and go, oh, I've ruined it now. Palms up in the air.
Give up.
You give up. Yeah.
But you know the thing about that, though, is that when you do forgive yourself and move on, you've actually got to have something to move back to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's where that planning becomes so important.
Yeah.
So you
100%.
map out the plan and then it doesn't work. You go, okay, that's fine. Next week, I'm just going to go back to the plan.
Yeah. That's right.
I've mapped out all the things that I want to achieve, both in my lifestyle and my empire. I'm going to preload them into my calendar. If I don't get a couple of them done, well, I'm not going to bloody hang, draw, and quarter myself over it.
No.
I'm going to go, all right, let's work out why that didn't happen. Maybe there's too much in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I'm going to work out why it didn't happen, and then I'm just going to move forward to make it happen.
Yeah, 100%. And I think dusting yourself off and moving on is probably just as important as the plan itself.
Yeah, 100%. All right, this episode, we've spoken about the importance of getting harmony between your lifestyle and your empire, the value of creating a plan and then preloading that plan into your calendar. Nick, we spoke about consistency. And I think the other big thing that I got out of today's chat was that if you fall off that consistency wagon, it's okay.
Yeah.
Forgive yourself.
100%.
Move on.
Mm-hmm.
Get back on the horse.
A big time.
Yeah.
It's the only way that you can, because otherwise you're just making an excuse for yourself, really, aren't you?
That's right. 100%. Good stuff, guys. This is the sort of things that we teach our clients all the time in our Mastermind Business Accelerator program, which is designed for people in small business and professional practice who just feel like they're stuck because the business is so reliant on them. If that sounds like you, then go to metropolitanmastermind.com.au. If you've enjoyed what you've heard in today's podcast, please like the podcast, share it, subscribe, I should say. Get it right, Mike. Subscribing makes it easier for other people to find us and on our quest to help as many small business owners as we can to have a business and not just a job. If you know someone who you think would benefit from this stuff, please share the podcast with them. If you didn't like it, share it anyway. Why should you be the only one that feels like you wasted 30 minutes of your time? But whatever you do, until we speak next, please make sure you spend time with those who matter most. This is Mark Creedon. We'll chat next week. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, guys.